Hey guys, what's up? So we're 1 month out from the Dirty South 100K, and it got me thinking. The very first Dirty South 100K wasn't a race; it was just a ride that I called, and it was back in 2012, February 2012, right at the beginning of the year. So gravel riding was kind of growing around the nation. Cyclocross had sort of started kind of becoming like a thing. Like I didn't really know what cyclocross was maybe until like, I don't know, a few years before that. And people were getting cyclocross bikes. And what was really cool about it is that it seemed to kind of, sort of like bridge this gap between mountain bikers and road bikers. Like both could like it, both could be into it, which I thought was really cool. So I remember sort of thinking that like gravel riding makes a lot of sense in our area in the winter, especially because it's kind of cold and then you don't really want to be doing like 20 miles an hour down some, or trying to ride in some crazy winds and flat roads. We have a lot of flat roads and we have a lot of cool hills, but there was a lot of cool hills that were gravel or kind of just rough in general. And I thought that'd make a really good gravel ride. So I come up with a route and I tossed this idea out onto our mountain bike forum, which I was posting on all the time. It was a pretty popular, well-known mountain bike forum at the time, the SMBA, Shawnee Mountain Bike Association forum. And I was surprised there was like a lot of excitement. A lot of people were interested. So I drew up this ride poster and it got shared. I printed some out. It got kind of passed around some bike shops around the tri-state area, I think. And this ride poster was just funny because I didn't take any of this seriously. I was like, it's not a race, but you can race if you want to, blah, 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 whatever. And so believe it or not, a lot of people showed up. Like I was really surprised. Like when I say a lot, it was 20 plus. But in Southern Illinois, if you get more than a couple people together on a ride, you're doing good. And we had 23 people show up on a cold as crappy, windy day in February to ride gravel roads in Southern Illinois. And I was just stunned because I didn't know a lot of these people. Like I'd never met them. I don't know where they even come from. Like they just showed up from all over. We had people from Tennessee, we had people from Missouri, and they just were interested in gravel riding and heard we were doing this ride and they showed up. So the range of bikes was hilarious, but most people were on gravel bikes. I was on a touring bike. I had a Nash bar touring bike, which, really is just like a heavy gravel, a heavy cyclocross bike. We had couple mountain bikes, and I remember Chad Briggs was on this like hilarious step through like 26-inch girls Schwinn bike, and he was killing it. My friend Brant was there, and he'd brought a friend of his who was on a mountain bike. But this guy, I didn't know about him because I knew he was a road rider, but he was on this kind of like Walmart mountain bike, and he was like way, way, way overdressed. He was wearing like tundra clothing, and it was in the low 40s. So, most of us were in like jackets and stuff, But he was dressed like he was going to go deer hunting. I remember he had like a full camo face mask, like that covered up his whole face. I was like, how are you going to breathe through that? So there was even one guy on a regular old like carbon road bike. And in 2012, not everybody had a carbon road bike yet. And so he had like a carbon road bike. And I said, man, this is going to be a little rough on that carbon road bike. And he goes, it's got 26-inch tires. I'll be fine. And I think he did have one flat, but he was pretty fast. So the ride started, and pretty soon I realized this was going to be a lot harder than I thought, because I was just trying to kind of stay near the front and make sure nobody missed a turn. I was the only person who knew the route, and I had posted like a GPX file. I handed out cue sheets and maps, but people are just like, I'll just follow the ride. And pretty soon we had people kind of drifting off the back, and we were kind of averaging like maybe 14 or 15, and people were maybe getting a little fast at the front, and I was trying to like stay at the front. And I remember people like, this ride's going too fast, this is stupid, we're dropping everybody. And turned out we did drop the guy with the full face mask I mentioned. I don't even think he got out of the parking lot. I think he got like 10 feet down the road and was like, I'm done, this is too cold, I'm going home. We had a full support. We had actually a support vehicle on the ride. Brant's sister, and I'm sorry I forgot her name, but she was there supporting the ride, which was so awesome. And yeah, it was just really, really cool. At about the 30 mile mark or so, I realized I was in over my head. Like I was starting to feel really pretty bad, and I was kind of wanting to quit. Several riders did take the shortcut back at this point, take the highway back to cut out the second 30-mile portion of the ride, so they just had like a short, easy highway ride back. I wanted to do that, and I remember Lee Messersmith was like, nope, you can't. You've got to, the rest of us want to know the route. You know the route. You've got to take us on the route. And if you're slow, you're slow. We'll wait on you. The final part of that ride was just really tough for me. I was fighting cramps, and I finally had like debilitating cramps on the last climb. This ride, the final climb was this like super short but insanely steep thing called Jenny Ridge, and it was just like straight up, very, very technical, like one of those roads that's so steep that like all the rocks wash off and it's just a bedrock underneath and dirt and stuff. Got up that climb with a bad cramp, and I had to get off the bike. It was too much. But it was one of those things that was so cool, and I think everybody that finished it, just, it was so epic and stuff. And, you know, a lot of people's first like actual gravel ride, you know. And so they were like, we got to do that again. And they had a second one I went to, and I even made another ride poster for this one, and it was started at one of the vineyards, one of the wineries. I can't remember the name of it. I forgot the name of the winery, but over near Alto Pass. I think like 35 or so people showed up, and so that ride was really successful. Just another free ride. I think we did like one more year or 2 more years of doing an east side and a west side ride until the west side ride kind of developed into a race, because honestly it was so hard to do this as like a group ride. We had people. I remember one year we had somebody show up on like a crazy weird old Schwinn, like early Schwinn downhill mountain bike. Like it was like a 4-banger, probably like a 35-pound 26-inch downhill mountain bike, and this dude just showed up to do the gravel ride. It's like you're not gonna, unless you're like some world-class athlete, you're not gonna make it. And like we waited on him and went back looking for him and stuff like that. It's like you just really can't have it. It's got to be a race, and it's just like groups form and you have fun. And that's what it turned into, and I'm really glad it did. So it's just awesome. I've swim things like, I'm always gonna be proud of the fact that the Dirty South ride started in southeastern Illinois in the Shawnee National Forest, and now it's on the west side, still in the Shawnee National Forest a lot too. But maybe one day I'll have a reunion ride back there. But looking forward to next week. I'll hopefully see you there. If you didn't sign up and you're on the waiting list, sorry, but it's a great time. Come out and ride around the roads anyway, even if you're not in a race. See ya.